Hello, everyone. I am back tonight. I'm excited about being back. I'm so thrilled. I'm so excited. And I haven't been excited like this, uh, I guess, since it was Obama. Just to be honest with you, we have a lot of great things to talk about. Hi, I'm Rhonda. Welcome to Rhonda's Lovely Sparks. Um, Smash that like, share. I've lost a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, I'd say about 10, almost 15 maybe. And I'm good with that. And I say this in everything I do right now because what's important is for people to know the transparency of my channel, that it's never been based on how many subscribers that I have. And let me tell you why. I started this channel with the foundation of being inspired for three things: through my grandson who was hospitalized, um, through my suffering with anxiety, and helping people. Those were probably the top three things, and no really special order. Um, Grandson, I guess, can be on top, but I think they all are seriously relevant when it comes to my balance in life of remaining healthy and surviving whatever I was going through, which I've identified in my past lives. Uh, it's very important for me and my whole life to live a life that has great value, to live a full life. And I'm so glad that I've been able to identify that as a child through movies I saw, through seniors in my ear, some wisdom. I was able to dream. And I remember growing up, I was born in Kansas City, Missouri. Both my parents worked for, it was like Western Bell or something like that in Kansas City, Missouri. And somehow I was able to play in wheat fields. I don't ever remember my parents being around when I played in the wheat fields, but I'm sure they were looking. And I moved to the South when I was 6 years old. Hello, Mike Aldana. Welcome back. Hello, my friend. I appreciate your support, your strength, and I just pray that I hope I'm pouring into you as much as you've been pouring into me. Thank you so much. Um, I remember as a little girl, I would lie on my back in the wheat fields, and I grew up around sunflower fields too, in Kansas City, Missouri. But I lied on my back, and when I lied on my back, when I would lay on my back, gosh, I would dream, and I'm telling you, I would see clouds shape into faces. I would see clouds shape into people I knew. I just knew I saw God's face. I didn't know anything about God, but what I did maybe knew a little bit of between, before I was 6 years old, around between 1 and 6, but able to be independent enough to run out into a field and lie on my back, not knowing that there were spiders and snakes and I just remember dreaming. So what I'm trying to say basically is that I've gotten older. I haven't changed. I haven't changed. I'm glad because there are things that happened in my life that has really hurt me and disappointed me and scared me to death. And it seems like when I'm back into that happy place, that I go back to that when I was a child, of those happy places. So, what that means into having a channel, I was always grounded in understanding my truth and understanding the value of life and understanding what mattered more to me. And I believe that I understood it so much that I could have evolved higher than my own parents, than my own family. Because when people were probably hoping that um, they could either sabotage my success or piss in my Cheerios, as I have said and expressed before, um, I've always evolved, and I knew it was like God's God's grace, having grace, and then in these hands that were so much bigger than mine that rescued me. It was no matter what I went through, it was about having faith. It was about believing. It was about really believing in something that was so bigger than me. And I could understand that believing into something that I probably couldn't explain to others. And knowing probably that there were going to be some disbelievers, naysayers, people who would say, "Oh my God, you're crazy," you know? So I've always been grounded in that. I'm just older. I have some gray hairs. I can't jump around and run as fast as I used to. And this is when I pull in and bring in what matters to me more. I understand the value of life. And what really reminded me and put that stamp of approval was watching and listening to people and examples of valuing life was the DNC. I was committed to stick with these the main event, which I added also the Black Caucus coverage on Tuesday. I believe it was Tuesday. I have that on my playlist. Um, I knew that I had to stay committed for these four straight days, and I haven't. I've been committed to my channel, to my YouTube channel, but I'm saying committed to something extra outside of what I felt that was so much bigger than me. That the messaging had to have been bigger and larger than me. I didn't know the details of the lineup. I just knew I had to believe in something bigger than me. And so, seeing what I have learned, and I'm so glad that I'm old enough to say that I'm familiar with a lot of what I saw, probably 90 something percent, with bad situations. And when it came to women and being in the mix, helping people. What was bigger than me was to feel reminded that there were people out there that feel like me too, that think like me, that want things like me. People on the same page that believe like me. Because my cup runneth over. And it has run over before. It's run over so beautifully that I knew I had to come back and do a live after I've already been live for 5 hours. I've been consistent Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week, every day, 5 o'clock, and did more, the Black Caucus, and did more. What is so important to me, in addition to what I had already shared, was knowing that my lifetime that I'm living is different than all the other lifetimes that I've had. Experiences, my breathing, my living, my existing, my witnessing. And what I've witnessed after Obama and he was leaving office, I'm not going to repeat that, but I can share with you the whirlwind of grave disappointment after he lost. Not lost, let's start back over. I guess in my brain, I felt that he didn't lose. I felt that I lost, even though Obama won 2 terms. The beating in my brain and the brainwashing and the toxicity and the lies and the type of policing. Well, I'm hearing a lot of stories and reading truths and knowing of people who have lost their children to inequalities, to people mishandling their policing authority. And so in the George Floyds, I take it to heart, to spirit, soul, and I had to really dig deeper inside and really focus on what was going on in my life. Because I knew that my daughters are leaning on me, they look up to me. My husband loves me. I have something so much bigger to live for. So therefore, I had to make sure I went back to what helps me be grounded. So this election means something greater to me than all the other elections. All elections have value. What has happened over several years is that when you say to your heart and mind that you're older, that you're wiser, that you're retired, that maybe you can breathe, and you hear the language out there that your parents experienced as a person of color, or if you white, and if you went against the grain of your circle of extremist circles, then you were going to be dismissed and canceled or kicked out of your neighborhood. That what reminded me during my lifetime that this is very real. That yes, there are wars, there are fresh wars, that there is fresh hate, that there is fresh KKK, evolved Klansmen idealisms that have birthed fresh hate. And also, with all of that, also thinking that I'm older and that when I earn my angel wings, that I do want to leave this place in a safer, better place for my children and my grandchildren. And I didn't feel comfortable until now, after the DNC. I had to get rid of a lot of things that was planted in my heart that I hated. I had to learn to forgive. I didn't say forget. I had to learn to forgive. I had to learn to restore and build in me so I can live in front of my offspring, my children, my adult daughters, my grandchildren, and my husband and I are now great grandchildren, that I had to really do some soul searching in chaos, because listening to Trump and all of the people that are being interviewed that are Trump followers, worshipers, that I'm hearing interviews, right? And you have media that's walking up to these Trump followers and they're asking them, so what are the policies that you support about Trump? Do you know, out of all the interviews, everybody's go to was economy, which, to be honest with you, a president is measured by that, but really doesn't own it. And that's the misconception as well. That when it comes to economy, he could try to stimulate it. He can try to do this. She or he can try to do this and that. But people who really have a way of persuading these numbers are people who own stocks, Wall Street, the business aspect of the people who own produce, meats, those conglomerate companies that probably all of them, not saying all of them are, but have some interest in Wall Street to measure how much that they could profit, who they can screw over, and how they and the competitive their competition, all that takes place. And still you have a large circle of people who either don't understand and they're learning, like D.L. Hughley said tonight that Kamala invited him to her house, and she tried to, because D.L. Hughley didn't have anything great to say about Kamala. And tonight, when he was there at the DNC, he had a speech where he said he was invited to her house. He did some education, some self-education. He relearned some things. And he made an apology to the world today. And we all know about Malcolm X, at least most of us do, a lot of us, that Malcolm X was under a certain religious curriculum. And when he left our country and he went overseas to learn about world religions, then he came back and he became a better person. So, what that means is if you don't understand, educate yourself. You don't have to drown yourself into something that's going to intimidate. Ask questions, find a place or a moment where you um, are open to learn and read some new things. But life and living is all about relearning. It's all about relearning. It's about saying, in people's stubbornness, am I willing to learn something new? Am I able to bend the brain? Because it takes some bending and it takes some aha moments and it takes some like WTF and it takes some doubt and fear and all these mood swings to relearn something different. We have Republicans that are flipping, not necessarily flipping on their party, but they're flipping against Trump. So that percentage is also teaching us that not all MAGA is the same, not all Republicans are the same, that there is something in their little pea picking brains, that there is something new that can be learned, that there are percentages that can be taught. That's why I wanted to open up the live, of course, to engage with the chat room, but also to share what was on my mind, like my feelings after, covering this for more than 5 hours, 4 days straight, nonstop, and having that high energy. Every day, I was able to build on that energy. And let me share with you during the DNC, they had a theme on a daily basis. And the theme on day one was for the people. The theme on Tuesday was a bold vision for America's future. Wednesday, the theme was a fight for our freedoms yesterday. And today, Thursday, was for our future. That was the theme for today. And I'm a writer. I love writing. I love the art of language. I love the art of writing, persuasion. And I've been ready to be persuaded, especially during a time when World War III it keeps knocking on our door. That I think about myself and my husband, but also seems like my go-to is my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren, my daughters. It's like my go-to. Like, oh my God, how are they going to make it? How are they going to live? I have a responsibility when my grown children come to me to answer questions when they don't know. And when you finally, as a parent, start getting these questions, Mama, why is this? Grown children asking me at this age, Mama, why did that happen? Mama, I took my son to the ER today to get tested. These things, as a mother, they're looking up to me for answers. It felt so great to be able to look up at politicians who have answers for a change. And it also reminded me, and it reminds all of us, that seeing these politicians at the DNC, you see that there is a lot of people working hard for our country, that's working so hard for the betterment of our country that's working religiously. And if you remember the memoriam, there's a lot of people who have passed away. And trust me, a lot of their illnesses and their ailments wasn't just from natural causes. A lot of these civil rights leaders, these people who, like Amos, who passed away, who fought for equal rights and equality, the one who made the cookies, the natural ingredients, no preservative cookies, passed away. These people have fought so hard their whole life that they've passed away from cancer, from dementia, Alzheimer's, anxiety, high blood pressure, fighting for us, fighting for the good people of this country. So the DNC reminds us that there are people working hard for us, and they're not like a lot of the negative Republicans. My language has changed. Now I'm saying it's not all Republicans. Probably not all MAGA either, that they jumped on the bandwagon and they thought, oh, this is not what I signed up for. Ooh, I'm a Republican and I'm bitter about this over here, but maybe I don't think this is a good fit for me. Ah, ooh, this person said something very nasty about this man in a wheelchair who has ALS, who aka Lou Gehrig's disease. I'm hearing my constituents making fun of him, and maybe this is not my circle anymore. That I'm an independent voter. I signed up being an independent, but I'm not like that one. I'm not like that over there that's talking about this man who has ALS, for which his wife helped interpret the things that he wanted to express, that this gentleman with ALS didn't want to be swept under the carpet. He was so happy to use his platform in front of the world to talk. Just because we cannot understand him, it doesn't mean he was irrelevant. Maybe we need to step our game up and be more like people who have special needs. Just because we are in some kind of majority box, it doesn't mean this person cannot speak, doesn't have a right to express themselves, and shouldn't be seen. This person should be seen. This person should be heard. Just because there's impediment with the language skills and the physical skills don't mean that they are any less than us. That this person with ALS has a right to have a platform and speak, and if there is someone there to help interpret to us slow thinking people, because we can't understand him, that this person in the wheelchair is more elevated than we are, that he has a right to speak, that she has a right to speak, or sign language, or be diagnosed with something and take a medication that will help them live a little while longer. Afford some insulin to help you live a little while longer, right? Or a lot longer. That when I heard the comments, I was like disgusted. When people said, I can't believe they allowed someone like that on stage, the gentleman who was diagnosed with ALS and Lou Gehrig's disease, that they looked at him like it was shameful. How dare the DNC allowed someone like that? How pathetic and desperate was the DNC? Y'all, I am not kidding. This person saw that as a position of shame. Instead of looking at this wonderful couple on stage as a person who has a right, they have a human right, that we are not better than this person. Just because they're using a wheelchair, it doesn't mean we are better. Just because this we can't understand them doesn't mean we're better. And then yet there are still a large percentage of people which we need to be woke and pay attention and maybe really feel bad for, because they are that damn stupid. That there is a very large part of people who are racist, who are prejudiced, and who are so damn ignorant that all three things are alike in this person's spirit: dumb, ignorant, prejudice, racist. Was that five things? I'm glad that I still am naturally empathetic, that I naturally still have my senses where I can express myself. And I pray God to have mercy on me when I can no longer walk, where I can no longer talk, that there is somehow I can still express myself in a way that makes me feel good, that I can touch someone's life and allow someone so beautiful to touch my life as well. What matters to me and what mattered to me in watching the DNC was to remind me that when it's time for me to earn my angel wings, that my kids are gonna still be okay. You know that rap? It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. I'm gonna be all right. That's what it's about. That's what America is about. Is what I saw at the DNC, what I had witnessed. That these people are working, and trust me, they are not rich. They are not getting rich from this. I don't give a damn. You can say, well, Obama is a millionaire. Okay. But look what he had to do to get there. He wrote a couple of books, which he ends up donating a lot of the proceeds to nonprofit causes, to 501(c)(3)s. I opened up a live if someone wanted to engage with me in the chat and or just hear me talk, because we have been listening to great people speak to us and great people to remind us that we're going to be all right. By the way, I know that you all have probably been looking for my last YouTube for replay. I'm okay. It's been blocked, but I'm cleaning up a whole lot of stuff that people have claimed copyright. It takes a long time for this editing process to take place, but I'm going in and doing these. YouTube provides us resources where they can select these places where there are issues, and the majority of them you have options to mute it, to remove it, or dispute. I don't want to dispute any of it. I just want to have it muted. You know, we could stand probably a minute or two, someone going, with someone's copyrighted music playing in the background. It's okay. I mean, it's Governor Gretchen Whitmire. She has copyrighted her stuff. Of course, Beyonce's song Freedom. Desposado's remix, which included Daddy Yankee, the full speech of Elizabeth Warren, celebration, celebrate good times. Come on. Yeah. Eva Longoria's speech. Don't stop till you get enough, right? I knew it was going to be a lot, but I didn't know it was going to be that much. Central Park 5 say Trump wanted us. There's a minute that needs to be removed. So I'm going to be up for a long time allowing, giving YouTube permission to mute those things. Shooting survivor of Gabby Giffords, 2 minutes of what she said, dozens of veterans show up, 3 minutes of that uptown funk you up. There's 1 minute of that. It's going to be a while, but I'm good. I'm going to take my time. I don't know when the video is going to be ready, but it's going to be all right. That's what Mike Aldana said. Thank you. Welcome back. I don't know if you were gone or not. Thank you. And thank you for voting also for the poll. We have 2 votes that people are going to vote. Even if you are not subscribed, subscribe. I see you sitting in the cut. Subscribe. Subscribe. Because if we have differences, maybe you could learn not to be so angry because I'm different than you. Maybe you can learn that you don't have to be so angry because of what someone has instilled in your mind. Maybe you could learn to like me. Maybe I'm not as threatening as you might think just because I'm Democrat. Just because I'm voting for Kamala, I'm not mad at those who are not going to vote for Kamala. That as long as we can have an open dialogue, and let's talk about it. I'm feeling confident, but I had this conversation years ago when Trump was in office, and I had open dialogue with people that I did not agree with in my other political groups, that I learned some things. I either learned some things that I knew probably would never change my idealisms. I've learned some things that maybe there are some Republicans that do have empathy. I did learn some things that there's some hate that is so deep in some people, there's no hope. And I've learned how to put the responsibility on me that I'm not about changing people, that I can take ownership for myself. And then maybe what I say could probably open people's minds. I know the job is too big. I'm not even interested in thinking that I can go out there and change people. I'm not interested in that job whatsoever. It's not my cup of tea. I have bigger things in my life. But what's also important in my life are my friends. I have subscribers here that don't like me. I have subscribers here that disagree with me. But I believe that those people can probably look at me and go, you know what? Maybe there are some things she says that's cool. Maybe there are some things that she does I like. I like her movies. I like her cartoons. I like how she's so polite. I like how Rhonda is not what I thought she was. that this has broken that shallow stereotype in my brain that my parents has forced me to believe. Maybe I could probably open some indoctrinated minds that people can see me for, hmm, she's for helping people with anxiety. She's for helping people that are stressed, are dealing with anxiety and stress and they need some stress relief. But we can have a party. We can be a part of these lives, the DNC. We can vote a certain way. We can do certain things that could make us comfortable. And you don't have to be angry, and that you don't have to hate somebody, and you don't have to be superior to get along with others, that you don't have to be in your small tiny group, because Harris said dictators are rooting for Trump. Doesn't that give you an aha moment? Who is that? Kim Jong-un? How do you pronounce his name? Let's get his name right. Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un. Okay. Kim Jong-un. He is a leader of North Korea. And then we have Putin, who is a leader for Russia. And Kim Jong-un has been a leader of his territory since he was born. And then Putin has been in his position over Russia for a long time. And then you have someone like Trump, and these are truths, who feels that he's friends with them and he feels that they like him. And what's so off-putting about that, it has nothing to do with Trump being a Republican, because he's really not. Trust me, he did not want to run under the Republican ticket when he was running for president before. He did not want anything to do with that. And the Republicans are like, hey, you're going to have to choose something, you dodo bird. Trust me, he didn't want to be that. He's just rocking a title that can help him get what he's trying to get. And what's crazy is that Trump really feels that with whatever authoritism that he feels he has, he feels that he can think and be accepted on the same page as Kim Jong-un and Putin. And Mike Aldana says Trump's easily manipulate, assume that they like him. Yes. These people look, Kim Jong-un and Putin looks at Trump and the MAGA and a lot of the unreformed Republicans. They look at him like a dead rat, that he's worthless gutter trash. These people, Trump has no ability to even be on the level of how they think. I'm not saying one is better than the other. They're all trash to me. I'm just saying that something has gotten in his head, his father's brainwash, because his father, honestly, was a thug and a thief and a scoundrel. And I'm not talking about his dad to disrespect Trump. I'm saying this about his dad because he was proud for this. Being a gangster, being a thug and a racist, he was proud. So the daddy browbeated Trump a lot, indoctrinated Trump. Trump is thinking he's walking in those shoes of his dad, and maybe he's better than his dad, but understand that laws did not hold a lot of people like him accountable. So now Trump is being charged with convicted over 34 times, 30 something counts, and he's being held accountable that what his dad got away with, Trump won't. And no, his case has not been exonerated. And Trump has been pity patting with those, I do believe he has tiny feet, pity patting all around at the rallies, blowing smoke up these people's ass. And the people's ass that he's blowing smoke up and feeding the assistant to Mike Pence came out against Trump at the DNC and said verbatim that Trump does not want to touch their hands. They stink. He's like, I'm talking about his people that follow him at the rallies, that he is definitely not on their level. I mean, y'all Google that, y'all listen to it. Mike Aldana sent me the YouTube video, and I saw from her mouth, and it was not AI, what she said that she saw and heard when she worked for Mike Pence. That the day of the insurrection, she quit. She said, I'm done. I'm done. Because she heard this over and over and over again. And we've heard also from Michael Cohen. We heard it from people who are around Trump. And for people to still wave their flag. And this is what I was saying before when I was getting to when these people are being interviewed. The MAGA, they holding the flags. And they want their go-to as policy. But understand that these circle of like-minded people that love Trump so much that they are willing for Trump to look down on them, to call them stinky, that they're dumb, illiterate, and trash. They're willing to still look up to him because he is telling them what they feel they got to have. And that's the need for in their thinking, to protect their pureness, to protect in their definition, how they define purity. They're not saying it, but the code language is clear. Well, let our go-to be economy, because their go-to before that Obama wasn't an American, he's a Muslim. They can always reinvent something new. And the new thing is that, oh, it's economy. Because when Trump has mindless rallies and he's mumbling, he's talking in the language for which the people in his rallies can understand. Did anybody think about that? So Mike Aldana says Putin's experience in the Russian military and KGB has served him well and has the resources to undermine Trump and feed his ego 100 million times over. Yes, Mike Aldana. when you see the MAGA and you see them doing what they're doing, which is like back in the day, y'all remember? I mean, do we remember this woman from Alaska that she can see Russia from her house? Sarah Palin? That ruined John McCain, which I'm glad, but she ruined it for him because Sarah Palin, in her time, was called an extremist because in that time was the Tea Party. And Ted Cruz and all of them thought they were getting things done. We got somebody until this Trump MFer came along and it's like, God, man, he's worse than I am. Because the Republicans, the regular Republicans, are not what Trump like. Understand, when Trump ran for office and he won whatever presidency that you want to call it back in the day, that he didn't want to run under the title Republican. He didn't want it. So understand, he doesn't like Republicans, and his following knows that. Is why in Project 2025 that it has connotation like Putin, like Kim Jong-un, dictators. That in Project 2025 has all that motion, all that stuff in that. That's why Trump looks up to them. Because a lot of that's from their playbook too, but also a lot of it is from our good old forefathers here. See, people got to understand that when you see those MAGA supporters and them raising their hand, hail Hitler here in this country, in United States of America, people like that got a free pass to thrive. They got a free pass to thrive. To have at conventions in Chicago in the 20s and 30s, probably before then, in New York, they had open conventions of worshiping Hitler. In this country, they allowed it. But then this country was concerned about some small Black Panther Party for which the CIA injected some propaganda to create the division and all of this amongst the party itself, because guess what? Black Panther Party had a food program. Both of my aunts were members of the Black Panther Party. I have an aunt that's from Oakland, lived in Oakland, California her whole life. She lived probably not too far from the headquarters of the Black Panther Party, because guess what? It was no programs that was open and available to help this community that was totally disenfranchised, and they were literally starving Black children. So somehow the community got together, who had money or whatever, and got food and opened up a breakfast and lunch program for these kids. That's how it started off, as a community program. And it's put in writing, you can Google it, where when it became extreme, of course, there was some infighting. But the infighting, after a while, infighting started in the Black Panther Party because the leader of one of those parties was on LSD and some heavy drugs. So that didn't help. And then you had propaganda-ish dropped in envelopes and communities. And you had a community of Black people who read it and believed it, and the propaganda created paranoia and division. So back then they used propaganda, which was envelopes and letters and notes, right? Today it's Russia's spam, it's viruses, it's these things that they poison the internet with, like Chinese spies and all this heavy language I'm using on my YouTube channel. Oh no, I gotta watch my language. Anyway, Mike Aldana says Ana Navarro fled Nicaragua, gave a detailed description of communist government, which mirrored exactly what type of government we'd have uh, that we had under Trump. And she said it's still trying to progress even now what they're doing where she's from, Nicaragua. It's happening in Africa. Italy has had elections where there are extremist leaders, offspring, who are trying to make it the way it used to be when their dad and their granddaddy was alive. It's not just in America, it's all over the country. And then you have England that had some crazy stuff going for a minute, and resignations and kicking this out and having some extreme conservativeness and this and that and this and that. And they're going back and forth, trying to clean up the shit that they started, that their politics has started. So when we have a country here in the United States of America that, to be honest with you, everybody, nearly everybody, most people around the world wish they could be here and are respect and or look up to. When they see that America has allowed someone like Trump and all this stuff to happen in this country, especially one tiny example of which is a big thing that happened to these 5 Black gentlemen, how they were targeted. One thing I want to get into also, another thing, is that I notice, because I do pay attention to the opposition. I don't watch it a lot, but I pay attention of what they're saying and what they're talking about. And have you noticed that also their discussion is not talking about clear policies? Have you noticed that they're always talking about Democrats? They're so busy up our effing skirts, up our effing ass, that they have no other basis to base their shows, their content, their television news. They are just lapping it up from the sustenance that Democrats are saying. So they run to the economy, because it's a long word and maybe a word they can't spell. But if you peep it out, that they are not mentioning what their Republican Party represent. Because number one, either they are ashamed. Number two, either they just don't know either. Number three, that they're not intellectual and intelligent enough to have a conversation like that. Number four, that they have some really dysfunctional-ish in their mental. What happened? Did someone bully you that happened to be Black, but not like me? Not me. I didn't do it. What did you experience in life that you have to have so much hate and be Black and have all this hate that you out there can feel still comfortable to support the lie, to promote the lie, versus the truth because it feels too uncomfortable. And this is what we have at Rhonda's Lovely Sparks, is that we talk about uncomfortable conversations and make them comfortable. That we can talk about uncomfortable topics and make them comfortable. How do you have conversations where you're scared to say certain things because maybe you've been indoctrinated? Maybe you sit at the dinner table your whole life and the N word was passed around like the butter and bread. So now you're kind of forced out in public to have conversations with brown and black people, and you don't get along. You don't get along well with others. So you don't know how to be a friend because someone pumped you up with a bunch of bull that you don't know how to have a conversation, and you don't have an identity, and you're mad, and you're mad because you're in debt, or you wanted a raise, or someone else got the job, or you live in a community that's probably predominantly a different color. So therefore, for you to survive, you have to be like you are. I mean, what are the reasons? I don't care, but I can go on and on and on and on. The thing is that working on self takes work, and a lot of people are very lazy about not wanting to do any work. So they want to take the content off of somebody else that's happy and trying to do something good, and they want to take the content and put it in their circle, on their YouTube channel, on their news channel, on their format, and make a show from it. But then they can't rise to the occasion to be a Republican, but represent something that's better than the shit you've been rocking. That's just kind of used to blow my mind, but also not really. Debunking the lies is what I've been working on since as long as I could live. But more so, let's just say the channel is misinformation. Sometimes I will say things, and sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I try to catch it when I'm watching my replay, and I'll go back in there and I'll do a disclaimer. Sometimes I'm not always right. Sometimes I misspeak. Sometimes I mean this and I will say that. That's just what happens when you don't have money to afford a whole staff of people to make sure your shit is shining like diamonds. That's what happens to us content creators. But I think a lot of y'all can get the gist of it, right? So Mike Aldana says a bunch of conspiracy theories and fundamental hogwash that's BS force feed into their current way of thinking. Now, I'm trying to read behind that heart, and that sometimes block. I need to. Okay, here it goes. See, maybe I can't see it yet, but I try to definitely go back and read word for word. I'm kind of missing Ben. Okay, I see it. So a bunch of conspiracy theories and fundamental hogwash that's been force fed into their current way of thinking. Mhm. And it's the comfort. It's the comfort also. Just scroll up. Okay. It's the comfort. So if, like what Michael Donna said first, was always the brainwashing. But also if I could like tap on that and chime in and add a little piece to it. It's what's comfortable. Secondly, it's what's comfortable. So if you're speaking a language that makes them feel comfortable, then the lie is great. I'm going to invest all my money in here and that and this and all this and that. And I'm going to invest all this and all my time because the woman who worked for Mike Pence said that Trump said, if you say the lies enough, then they will start to believe it. And it works. And that's being a predator. It's being a predator. And he's a predator because he knows there's a very large percentage of those kind of people that are disenfranchised too, that feel disenfranchised, that are not taught because they don't have a good leader, but they're taught how to hate more. They're taught how to hate others so much that there's this young man that was on a rooftop and did what he did. And then everybody's out there instead of really having empathy, then they wear maxi pads on their ears because they're taught fear and they're taught that hate feels so much better and is so much easier, and to believing in lies and false promises than to do the work that's needed in self. So Mike Aldana says, it's interesting to see how statements and speeches and statistics are fact checked in real time. I know, I've read it actually. I read on factcheck.org that they also said that Biden said some lies, but listen how they worded the lies. And some people at DNC. I'm not against factcheck.org. I mean, they're about telling the truth. But when they come out and they say, well, Trump didn't say that Trump said that he has nothing to do with Project 2025, but people at the DNC says he does, because there is proof that Trump supports Project 2025. So I don't know who the hell is running factcheck.org, but my go-to has been Rachel Maddow too. And Rachel Maddow is not going to be ruining her reputation for some bull. I'm just saying. I'm not saying that the others are going to say some bull. MSNBC seems to be pretty pristine about a lot of their stuff. But a lot of people on that side don't like them because they disagree. And when you disagree with them, then you are an outcast. You're not a part of that circle. You're an outcast. So they cast you out, no matter what color you are. When you see white people who are white, who showed up at the DNC and they are speaking and they are Republicans against Trump, they are bold in their circle. They are bold in their circle for doing what they're doing. Yeah, they didn't speak up a long time ago. They didn't speak up until what? Until Trump started speaking against people in the military and the January 6th insurrection and made a promise he was going to get them all out of jail, and he didn't come through. I mean, what got them all of a sudden woke? We don't know, because some of the things they did say, but is that also a percentage of people who just jumped into another bandwagon because maybe they're feeling the pressure? Maybe someone in their neighborhoods that's like them, that talk to them like how they talk to people who are brown and black. Oh, so they kind of got a little taste of that, of the wrath of themselves. I mean, it could be so much, so many things. But I've been reading and understanding and learning enough to kind of go, oh, that's the deal. Our generations are impacted a lot about what's been said at the RNC today, and how they are looking at the DNC. I did read on vote.org that they have had over 8 million people registered to vote, and that there are, what, a half a million that have been registered recently. So, as busy as that sounds, then understand that there are those who are working as hard as they can to get people kicked off of their dot printer printout. I mean, y'all know, I don't know if y'all know about that. Maybe y'all young folks don't know. It's like the continuous feed of print paper with the lines on it. Sometimes when you go vote, you kind of see them reading from that, and you're like, oh, dang. They don't have any kind of other printer. You're using a dot matrix printer. I checked mine today. Vote.org. It just takes 30 seconds. Check your name. Make sure you haven't been kicked off. And you don't have to do it every day, but make sure I would. If it takes just seconds to text some, gotta go there. Gotta pause for a minute. Some booty call messages. I'm sure you can text for 30 seconds. Just text and put in your name, your address, your phone number, your email. And in 30 seconds, it'll respond. I think date of birth, it's date of birth, and it will let you know, oh, you're registered. And don't be surprised. A lot of them people, out of 8 million people who have been registered to vote, this year, don't be surprised. A percentage of them are going to be kicked out. Maybe because it could be like if you moved. Maybe it could be something minor that you have to respond within 7 to 10 business days and that you didn't respond. So guess what? Maybe you moved and you didn't get the letter. Maybe you didn't get the message and you got kicked off because something doesn't prove that this is your address, or you was born in America. I have my certified birth certificate and my passport. And trust me, I bring that to me when I vote. I don't show it unless if someone's going to give me a problem. But I do bring it with me. My certified birth certificate and my passport. So the generation impact that this is having, the DNC, it's going to really inspire a lot of young folks. And you're going to see a lot of division in these families where we already know that kids are not talking to their parents because for whatever reason that Republicans are speaking against. In addition to, I did share about the House and Senate, how it's important to vote straight blue. Now, I'm sure people go out there, oh my God, look what she's telling them. She's trying to indoctrinate them. Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't believe what she's doing. She's so evil. Not, I'm doing what I have the freedom or right to do. Okay, now I'm going to select a next action to trim out a segment. So I'm trying to clean up my last video that went live. It's like probably over 20 things on there that what they just asked me is to trim out a part of the video. I could trim. They give me some options. I could either trim out those problems because it was a lot of copyrighted music played at the DNC that I had recorded, that I could trim it out, that I can, or dispute it, which I'm not disputing any of it. I don't own any of it. Or I could mute, so I'm gonna be up all night long, all night. And you will notice too that there are content creators that in their YouTube content are kind of singing like me and like I do. And I'm not in competition. And I don't feel bad about it. Sing your little pea picking hearts. But I'm just saying how influence does help change people's minds. It does impact people. It does have an influence on people. And I'm glad to have been able to do that. So I'm not petty. Oh my God, I'm not petty. Um, so that's what I wanted to expand on. I had my little notes here. See my little notes here wrote down before I went live. Just talking about two bullies and cultural differences, and speaking from a position of seeing older, being older, and looking at this really just gave me a peace of mind. Talking to my daughter, and knowing that there are times when my daughters call me. They don't call me a lot, but when they do call, it's that moment where you're like, oh my God, they're asking me a question. What do I do? Well, you better be ready. You better do your homework, because even though, oh, you got an issue with politics, what you talk to your kids and your kids ask you questions, you better come correct, because they're fact checking your ass. Their friends think differently. Their friends, they'll fall in love with somebody brown or white. All these things, when it comes to racism, has been invented to measure and put people in a box. So, where does this come from? Prejudices, feeling comfortable with the boxes, that old wonderful adage that we all bleed red. I mean, I don't know of anybody bleeding a different color. We all are together in on this. In this country, we all have a heart. We're all about bringing all of us together, basically, even though we know we can't bring everybody together. But we should, in a lot of ways, not all of us out there, but in a lot of ways, we know better. Somebody in our life called us out and spanked us, or said, no, 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 put that down. Don't say that. It's like there's this influx of just people who have daddy issues and mommy issues, and entrusts their daddy now, and they get to do anything. It can be wrong, it can be lies. Let's just go out there and just do anything we want, because it's our country, and they know it's not their country. They know that we are a nation of immigrants. We are a melting pot of all kinds of religion and skin and sizes and backgrounds and heritage. A beautiful mix. That's America. So Mike Aldana says the shock and awe moment is when people say something that we normally wouldn't agree with. I know, Mike. I thought if I ever evolved in my channel, and that's going to be on down the line. But if I do, I might have something if people want to call in and they want to talk. Like taking it, yeah, still, of course, have our live chat room, but make it if people want to call a phone number and talk. It'll be interesting. I'll have to stay up many nights and learn that too. I'm kind of learning it a tiny bit. It's not something that's a set goal, but I think it will be nice, number one, if and when, subscribers would like to talk. I think it's a really good thing. So I'm trying to figure that out. I'll figure it out. I know it's something where I have to invest, into paying another subscription, and the money ain't there for that. We have to pay money into Stream Yard and do this. I don't have the money for it, and I'm not going to do that. It wouldn't be smart for my bank. Uh, But if something comes along, and let's say someone's sitting in the cut that's a millionaire, and you want to invest some money, I'm your girl. No contracts. I'm not signing no contracts. Mm-mm. But I'm just saying, I love this young man that is that's Tim Waltz's. Yeah, so Mike Aldana says set boundaries if you're going to do that. Yes, that's something that I'm not probably interested in doing at all this year, and probably never, because it's a whole nother thing, that a whole nother energy that I have to, put out. And I'm not sure if I really want to be that available. You know what I'm saying? Not sure. But that's something I have thought about and I have let go, because it's not anything that's on the top list whatsoever. It's not. I really like what I have. I have a book reading scheduled for tomorrow. Y'all out there sitting in the cut, smash that like and join to become a part of my book readings on Fridays. I'm gonna try to be, if I can do DNC every day, I believe I can do book readings every Friday. I was doing it every other week because I was going through some things where, not because I don't love the book reading. I love my book reading. It's just that I was just going through some things where I just needed to really work that out. Uh, to where I could feel I can commit to that at a certain time every Friday, because I just had a problem dealing with committing to something. And I thought, wow, I do the movies every Saturday at 1 o'clock. It's just I don't have to really put myself out there, right? And doing this, the lives, I'm like out there, right? My face is out there. I'm talking, I'm expressing. The more I do, the more I feel better about it. Because I have, obviously, support from people like Mike Aldana and Lola and Nodulista the 90s and Daydream 1990 and my hubby and No Special Order, and I got Eric Wallace and Sugar Daddy One Williams and Miss TR, and the list goes on and on and on, and Mark Holmes, and it just feels good. It feels so good. So I just wanted to extend myself and tell you all thank you so much. And Mike Aldana, I hear you, I'm listening to you, and I do follow your lead in everything you say. I think that's a part of having a successful channel, a successful business. If I want growth, that it takes to listen to the people around you, and also follow through with some things that they suggest too. I mean, I think I've been around, I've been in a lot of ears of rich people. I have never been rich, but I've been an assistant of always somebody rich. They've always wanted to underpay me, and they've always wanted me to work for them, and they would take all my ideas and steal all my ideas and get rich off my ideas. They'll go, oh, well, we're paying you over, 8 something an hour. So we bought your idea. We have a copyright on that now. We have the rights on your intellectual property. So, poof, be gone, right? So I understand the value of my intellectual property and others. I understand that. So thank you all so much for investing time in me. Stay to the end, because don't leave me. Don't leave, because when you do, the analytics will drop. Stay with me. Thank you so much for the love. And I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you. And I'll see you soon. And get into good trouble. Vote. Get into good trouble. It's okay to get into good trouble. Love you and thank you and good night.